Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at what are now, I feel pretty confident in saying, the rarest and most exclusive Pokemon cards ever. And the thing is, that they're ones we talked about, just the other day. You see, a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago really, I suppose, I showed you 3 very strange Pokemon cards. I showed you Katy Perry V, I showed you Post Malone V, and I showed you Balvin V. And there were significant questions there. And generally the questions ended up being, well, hang on a second, are these cards ever going to be made commercially available? Are they going to be out there? Are we ever going to be able to get to hold them? Are we ever going to get to have them? And the answer is almost certainly not. But there is a chance if you're extremely rich, or I suppose like incredibly good friends of one of the 3 people I just mentioned. You see, these were all coming around because of the 25th anniversary of the Pokemon brand as a whole. And one of the things that they did, the Pokemon Company, was a bunch of music. Post Malone did the Pokemon Day concert, which was brilliant. And then, of course, we had the Pokemon 25 soundtrack, which was rather lovely. The thing is, all of that's in the past. Pokemon Day, the concert, was many months ago now. The Pokemon 25 album has been and gone. And to be blunt, we're in December. We are at the stage now where the Pokemon 25 festivities are very, very much winding down. So, if these were going to be released, by now they would be released. Now, I don't have an official statement from Pokemon. Pokemon haven't come out and put a post up on the website or anything like that. But essentially, the time to get these cards has gone. And look, let's be perfectly clear. Pokemon made these cards. And if Pokemon so wish, they absolutely could go and put these cards out if they wanted. Now, because they're using the likeness of the artist, I think they would probably need to have their consent. But I would imagine, right, I taught law and business for many years. Even if Pokemon never intended to make these cards available, I would be very surprised if the contracts that the artist signed, etc., I'd be very surprised if there wasn't an arrangement in there that they could be made available. It's a very standard thing in contracts, even if you don't really think you're ever going to make them available, because it's possible that you never know, plans could change in the future, you put something in there just in case. But I think it's fair to say at this stage they're not going to be made available. And I don't have official statements, etc., but we do know that one of them does actually exist. We first saw these cards, these were first seen, when Balvin actually went and put on their Instagram a picture of the card in a case as a physical card. And my understanding is that exactly 1 copy was given to Balvin, exactly 1 copy of the Post Malone card was given to Post Malone, and exactly 1 copy of the Katy Perry card was given to Katy Perry. And at this stage, it really depends on how much these guys are into the card game, how much they value them as memorabilia. Because essentially, your best chance at this stage to get hold of one of these cards is to buy the one of only copy ever produced. Which I think is fair to say is not going to be an easy or cheap thing to do. I would love to see what would happen if one of these ever actually went up for auction, and the fact of the matter is, it's probably never going to happen. Now, in terms of the rarest card ever, what has this actually taken the title from? I mean, there are some interesting ones out there. The classic example of the most sought-after card ever is the Illustrator Pikachu. Now, a raw version of this sold for $400,000 a little while ago, 42 million yen, And this is a card, the reason why this card is so sought after is because it was a prize for an art competition for Japanese kids right back at the beginning of the card game. And of course, when these are given out as prizes, and the game's very new, this was long before the game was some smash hit that was going to last for 2.5 decades or more. So people didn't exactly just put these cards aside thinking, oh, they're going to be worth hundreds of thousands of pounds in the future, or millions of yen. So a lot of these ended up getting ruined. So there really aren't very many of these around. But there are a few, and they've sold. Now, what you could do is you could look at winners cards. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, right? It's a little bit awkward with the winners cards. So, for instance, if you win the World Championships, you get yourself a first place card. And every year there are exactly 3 first place cards, and 3 second place cards, and 3 third place cards. Because, of course, there are 3 age divisions. You've got your masters, your seniors, and your juniors, and the cards are identical. So if, for instance, you wanted a card from a particular year, there would be 3 people who had the first place card, 3 who had the second, 3 who had the third. And, of course, the price of the individual years really depends. If all 3 winners really want to sell their first place cards, then that is going to drive the value of those cards right down. Whereas if there's a year where 2 players who win are absolutely resolute they're not going to sell, then the third player can command a much, much higher price for their card. That's just pretty obvious at that stage. But the thing is, these trophy cards are very similar year to year. So yes, there are only ever 3 first place, 3 second place, and 3 third place trophies for each particular year. However, there are many years of them, and even then, 3 is still significantly more than, 1. Okay. So, the other option we've got here, in terms of, really super hyper rare cards, there are a couple. One of them, for instance, is the prototype Blastoise. Now, these were actually graded by CGC. CGC themselves did a really nice article about it. It's very easily found over on CGC. And these are really weird cards. They are essentially prototype cards. Now remember, when the game first launched, a Pokemon TCG, it wasn't made by the Pokemon company as it is nowadays. It was made by Wizards of the Coast, the company that make Magic. Now, I did do a video about this card before, so I'm not going to go into huge detail. I'll try and remember to link that video in the description. But long story short, they're weird cards with square corners. They've got the wrong artwork on. This artwork has never been used on an English language Blastoise card. It has interestingly been used on a promo Japanese card, this Kensugamori Blastoise artwork, but there's no official English language card with this Blastoise artwork. We've got this prototype, we've got the Japanese, but there's no official proper English release with this art. And there's so many weird differences. It says escape rather than retreat cost. The font is all wrong. You stack this card on the monster card rather than evolve from the stage 1. There's so much weird stuff about them. They're amazing. If I ever become super rich, I'm definitely going to try and get one because they're weird and cool and curious. And 3 of them had backs of Magic cards, because again, Wizards of the Coast are making them and they made Magic. And one's just got a blank white back. And these have been graded, these are official, these are real. And there's 4 of them. And 4 is more than 1. The other one we could talk about is pre-release Raichu. Now, I believe I've done a video about this. If I have, I'll link it in the description. But essentially, pre-release Raichu was never supposed to exist. Raichu was never supposed to have a pre-release stamp. A few of them got stamped accidentally when they were trying to stamp a different card. The factory made a little mistake, and these were essentially ended up in the hands of Wizards of the Coast employees at the time. And I think we've gotten to the point where these are now considered to be proper, real official cards. They are out there, although again, these are hyper rare, expensive cards. And all of the ones I've talked about in this video, Illustrator Pikachu, pre-release Raichu, this Blastoise, which is, just really a test card, These are all hyper rare cards. I mean, one of the Blastoise did actually sell for $300,000, which is actually still less than the raw Illustrator Pikachu sold for. And these new cards have them all beat. They are one of a kind. The question is, would they sell for more money? Now, I think it's fair to say they are the rarest cards ever, because they are actual literal one-offs. Are they the most expensive? I don't know. Like, if I had a budget of $400,000 to spend on one Pokemon card, I would take Illustrator Pikachu, pre-release Raichu, or the prototype Blastoise in a heartbeat over one of these other one-of-a-kind cards. And it's not because I don't want a one-of-a-kind card. Obviously I do. It's because those other cards are super cool, weird, historical Pokemon cards that have a real story behind them and are really amazing. Whereas these artist cards are lovely, don't get me wrong, they're cool cards, but they are just music artists drawn on a card with a Pokemon. For me, they don't hold that same wow level. Again, I'm not saying they're not cool and they're not wow cards, they are. But I am saying if you put this next to an Illustrator Pikachu or a pre-release Raichu, for a real old school fan of the game, I don't think there's going to be much competition. Although I did spend so much time watching that Katy Perry song with my daughter on my phone, I would like that Katy Perry V card. There is always a chance that these cards end up getting released in the future, and I for one would love it if they did. But as it stands at the moment, they are the rarest Pokemon cards ever. But I still contend that it is absolutely possible, maybe even probable, that these would not actually end up being the most expensive cards ever if they sold, because despite being actual one-offs, they don't have the wow factor of some of these other cards. That's what I think. I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.